Welcome back to the seventh grade mustache. On today's episode, we're speaking about perception is reality. The way you view the world is the way your world is. You create the world based off of what you see and how you interact with it, but on your experience and your thoughts. Starting from a small, young age, you perceive the world a certain way. You think everybody is nice and is fair until somebody wrongs you. And then a person wrongs you again and again, and you can easily become hardened by these scenarios. And so you take this pessimistic view of the world, and that's how you get assholes. But go for it.
Sometimes assholes were born that way. It wasn't, it's just who they are. I remember the funniest thing about being a kid. I remember there's like an episode of like Leave It to Beaver where somebody stole his bike or something. I remember that being me. Like, remember when I was a kid, I had a fenced-in backyard, like a 4-foot fence. Nobody could get in, and somebody like stole my bike out the backyard. The first thing they stole was like a couple basketballs, but I felt violated.
But hold on. That's some bullshit though, man. Like to go into the backyard,
dude,
and steal the damn bike.
Into mine. Yes. And so, but then you're a kid, you got to wrap your mind around it because my mom was like, hey, somebody stole your shit. Like, what? Because the ball was right here. You know what I'm saying?
This is the thing, though, but like, okay, but imagine the person that's stealing this shit and they got it, they lifting it up over the goddamn fence, and your mom come outside, you know what I'm saying, with a butcher knife in hand, but like, put that shit down. Imagine that, like, you just like, I got it. That dude is I got it. I don't got it.
Look, I remember one of your family members got me like that one time because she's like, I found this dog, and I was like, oh, for real, where was it? In these people's backyard. I'm like, you did what? That's not funny.
That's kidnapping.
You know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, because when she said, I'm like, oh, that's an expensive ass dog. And so I'm thinking that you was walking around and you see this motherfucker run up to you. No, that's not how it went down. I think
that's that person's perception of right and wrong.
Yes, I was going right there with it. That's what you mean by perception is reality. The first time I heard it was in college philosophy class, and my teacher really laid it down, and I'm like, damn. And every day when I sit here and see that, I mean, I hear it in my head, Rex, because he couldn't say my name right. He said, that tape, perception is reality. And I'm like, it was abstract back then, but now it's so much more. Like when people watch Fox, these are people that believe that shit already. When people watch CNBC and CNN, they believe this shit already. So they're actually going out to find somebody that agrees with them. They're not looking for truth. And when it comes to this perception is reality, there are several things that's going on in this world right now. Going back 23 years, 25 years, going back even further with that island you told me about. I looked that shit up, that North
Fox Island.
North Fox Island, excuse me. And I'm like, wow. Whatever you tell, I don't want to call him a non-believer because I'm not a believer. I'm a knower. Like when people ask, you believe in God? No, I know God exists. Do you believe in it? I know this. There are certain things that you know coming from Omaha, especially in the black part of town, that people in the white part of town believe, but they don't know. When you come to the black part of town, you know evil. Like, I'm not talking about drive-by shootings. I'm not talking about drugs. That's bad.
We're talking about sinister things. Yeah. We're not talking about like crime. Yes. We're talking about something that is hidden with powerful people, that they use police organizations and lawyers and LLCs to hide and bury things.
Do you remember in Sin City? Remember that line that the one guy said? He said, having real power is making everybody lie to keep your secrets. Powers Booth's character. Powers Booth. And it was just so deep. And that movie was a super gritty movie. And it was one of those things where you're like, that's some shit. But when you see it in real life, it's different. You know, we love drama on TV. And sometimes we like drama in real life. But sinister, evil shit. Running into the people. Okay, say you're reading like a nonfiction book. You're reading a book about history, but you'll never run into Abraham Lincoln. You dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You'll never run into.
You know what? He's an archetype. Like when you think about these archetypes, these people that like are figures in history, in literature. These are like people that aren't really real anymore because they've gone through the Santa Clausification process where they make these people larger than life.
But hold it. What's even deeper? Okay, you just said something super deep. Santa Claus was a real person, but the real person ain't like the person that we see now. You
No,
dig what I'm saying? It's
no.
grown and bigger, and the legend's
They're tall
huger.
tales.
Saint
They're tall
Nicholas,
tales.
yeah, Phoebulson,
John
Paul
Hendry.
Bunyan, John Henry. And they say, if you do the research, John Henry was a real person in that prison. He was 26 years old, and you find out that guy existed. Now, the tall tale grew. Well, some tall tales are fucking scary, my nigga. I'm sorry. It's just that simple. And the point I'm trying to make is that you'll never read a book and run into those characters, even if they're real people. You can read somebody's autobiography. I ain't gonna run into Michael Jordan, whatever. But there's a book that we always allude to called the Franklin Credit Union Scandal. And then there's also an accompanying documentary that was made in 1991 called Conspiracy of Silence. Well, now there are characters in this fucked up ass opera reality shit that I was close to, not close as friends, but came in contact with these people, and these are evil fucking people. And that's why we're talking so much about this perception is reality. People perceive those people, one of them as being a good person, but that's because it was money involved. And we talked about this guy before in the air. So, his name is Larry King, but that's not where we're going. We're just trying to say, like, look, people, this perception is reality. You have people who say somebody's good, and like right now.
Okay. All right. Take a break. So here's the thing, man. People build up. They project images onto other people. They project images onto.
That's where I was. You feel me?
I got you.
You feel me?
Kick back.
Question.
Kick back. Hold on. Kick back, bro. So here's the thing. Hold that. Put a pin in that. So people project their hopes and their dreams onto heads of state, onto politicians, onto school teachers, onto policemen, onto firemen. These people are heroes. They're larger than life. They're doing great things. No, you are putting all that onto that person, and they have done nothing really to deserve that. When in actuality, some of those people, not all these people, but some of those people have done dark things, dark deeds, and they have a belief system. They have a dark cloud that follows them around wherever you go. And if you ever come into contact with these people, if you have the spirit of discernment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a weird reptilian type of vibe you get when you're around these people. For example, I did some work for a guy in North Georgia last year, and he, in so many words, told me that he worked for the CIA. And this guy was a pilot, and he was a Vietnam vet. But he wasn't a vet that saw action on the field of combat. He worked for Langley, at Langley. And I'm like, that's interesting. So you're a pilot, and you work for around these people for a long time. The vibe that I got from this guy, listen, man, like I'm from a military family. So when you're around soldiers and enlisted people, there's a certain vibe to them. Even the ones that are slackers, there's a certain vibe to these people. And so later, I worked for the federal government, and I came to know this reptilian vibe when I would go to the FEMA office. And I would go to the FEMA office, and I would go up there, and deliver some stuff. And there was people that I had to do things for, like I would take things to somebody's car, or I would set up something for a person to a room for a person or some shit like that. And I came to know this reptilian vibe up close and personal. It's an entitled but evil energy. Entitled and evil at the same time.
Unfortunately, I know what you're talking about. Okay, there's two things. First, let me go back to my first statement. I was going to say all these conservatives love the president. You guys know I'm not liberal conservative, but do y'all really think that this dick shit Trump really reads the Bible? Do you really think that he's a Christian like you are? That's perception is reality shit. Stop, juxtaposing your beliefs onto a piece of shit. He's a walking human feces. But now back to what you were saying. I hate when you put me in these predicaments. So I know a couple people, same situation that you're talking about, and this guy he's had 3 or 4 different lives, like, different careers. I'm not talking about, so. So one of the things he said was like, one, he's done work for that organization that you just brought up. And he said, you don't understand how they're literally everywhere. And not everybody that works there works in some building in DC, that they recruit people who are former police officers, former military. They teach them, and even they teach them how to get paid. Like, hey, we pay you like this, but you write it off like this. So nobody will realize that you're an independent contractor. That's what they call them. And they'll ask you, like, if you're ever out there, somebody weird asks you if you have a passport, they're asking because they want you, when you go overseas, they want you, like, just take a few pictures of this building for us. Little shit like that. It's crazy. But he was also, a good friend of mine was also a sheriff in the South. And he said, I came across 3 people that were former CIA people, and they were doing some dastardly shit to children and women, and they were killing people, raping people.
And they were given a blank check to do this, and nobody could stop them.
No. One of them got away with it. And basically, somebody showed up, flash briefcase, guy was gone. The next 2, the sheriff knew what was up, and he's like, I've seen this before. And he created a situation where they were being prosecuted and they were in jail so fast, the people from Washington couldn't come down and save them. And they were like, oh, shit, ain't nothing we can do. But after dealing with him and him explaining certain things to me, so many times when you look back, like, remember they made fun of George Bush when he was the governor of Texas, and he pardoned all these these criminals, these guys on death row. He would pardon them. Now, again, we've talked about this on the show before. We talked about the Candyman. We talked about these different serial killers. I'm like, they get pardoned at the weirdest times. And I'm like, you can't tell me, based on what I know, that that guy ain't former CIA.
Okay.
That guy.
So here's the thing. So what's happening there is the red flags are going up, and your discernment is called bullshit. Because duct tape, you were raised up until a certain point to believe that everybody that was in elected office, that was elected into office, was a good guy. Everybody that had a badge was a good guy. A firefighter is a good guy. Wait now.
Yeah.
But people are taught to believe this. It's just, the marching bands and the parades and, the propaganda on commercials and television and all these squeaky clean images that you see are forced down your throat until you regurgitate these things back to everybody else in conversation. And you don't realize how brainwashed you are because you have been scammed from birth. But at some point, there is an awakening. Now, everybody has this. Problem is, some people decide to roll back over and hit snooze and keep staying in that bed.
I disagree, Roscoe. Some people, it's not that they roll back over, is that their awakening went the other way. They believe they latch onto the bullshit tighter. You dig what I'm saying? They're like, my awakening, I like the smell of feces. Their awakening went the other way. Like, my awakening was like, hey,
but see, you're not talking about the average person, because the average person will roll back over and hit snooze. Now, the person that you're talking to is a familiar. That familiar courts the attention of this sinister. There you go. Speak to that.
Yeah, that's that boule motherfucker. Yeah, what you gotta understand, that's that boule motherfucker that pulled back the veil. Instead of being repulsed, they were attracted to it. They're like, oh shit, that's what I want. I want power. I wasn't born in the power of money, but I worship this shit.
They're greedy. They're petty and greedy, and they would do anything to get next to the house. Get inside the house with Massa so he can be their belly warmer.
These are some sick house nigga shit. But the point we're trying to make is that we get it. You're in control of your reality. But sometimes, what my brother was saying earlier, when you're black, at some point in time, you're going to find out that being black has a meaning that you don't get. We hear these stories from our parents who are older and our grandparents, and you're like, well, white people ain't like that no more. I won't have that experience. Then you have that experience where a cop kills one of your friends. You have an experience where you get pulled over and you guys weren't doing anything wrong. I got pulled over and a cop told me I was in a stolen car. And at the time, I think we were 16. And I'm like, stolen car? My dude had his car. So there's something. So when you're black, there's something that'll happen that makes you understand that the shit you learned in grade school about how these things work, about civics and social studies, and how the government works, and the police are good, and the ambulance driver is good, and this, and this. But then, like you say, you get to high school, you start selling drugs in high school. Then all of a sudden, the exact same ambulance driver is buying crack from you. The exact same police officer.
Stop the car right there. Stop the car right there. Look to the left. Look at that dark street with only one street light on way down there. Okay? We're about to go down this dark ass street. Because what else causes people to wake up is molestation. Now, a person, wait, hold your fire. Hold your fire. Now, some people are molested. And at that point, something crystallizes in their mind. That thing could be the people that I thought were protecting me. All of them aren't out to protect me. Some of them want something from me. Some of them want my essence. They want my innocence. You know, so that there's that moment. Well, hold on. There's that moment where that person that was innocent, they are forced into discernment in knowing what evil is, because that evil is invading their body. So there is that down that dark ass street. Down that dark ass street are the kids from the King credit scandal. Down that street are the kids from the Atlanta child murders. Down that street are the 126 kids in 2018 that they found in Michigan. Down that street are the kids that were from North Fox Island. Down that street are the almost 50 something kids they found in Atlanta this year that were a part of a sex trafficking ring. Children are down that dark street with one street light. They're forced into this discernment and realizing what real evil is. But up until that point, they were innocent. And that there was bliss there because they thought everything was fine, everything was safe, because the reality that they were sold was perfect. It was candy coated. It was bright and shiny. And then that evil thing happened to them. Evil happened to them. And it changed everything for them.
Some people don't get over it, though. Some people don't get over it. Some people live with it. Some people it happens multiple times. We get it. But the bottom line is that when you are dark skinned in this country, you'll come to a reality check. And there's some people who didn't get it. You know, their reality check came much later on. And when it comes much later on, those are the people that sometimes don't recover. You see what I'm saying? Those are the people that have a severe mental break. I remember we were in high school, and there was a young lady, had the best. I think her GPA was like 4.23, never missed a day of school, straight this, and something that happened where the teacher had lost her paper. And they said, well, just do it over. Like, do it over. I worked my ass off for it. And her world was blown because everything had worked for her up until that point. Now, the crazy thing was her older sister, I remember a light-skinned chick, beautiful chick. She was more grimy. You dig? And so her world wasn't like that. No comment. And so it was one of these things. It's hard to believe they were full sisters, not half sisters, nothing like that. But it's just crazy how two people came from the same house. But the bottom line was, when that thing happened, it really messed her up. Like, and for us, like the race thing, you know, your grandparents, great uncles, cousins would tell you these stories, or like, you got to watch out for white people, or this, and this, or don't go over there, or you know. And then the thing that happened before the credit union scandal was John Jubert. And me and Roscoe talked about this guy off air, but I don't want to lie about the year, but 82, 83, there were a series of paperboy murders in our area. And that was the crazy part. The only person allowed to have a paper route was my brother right here, was Roscoe. Nobody else's parents have paper routes because of this. And this was years later. You know, this happened when we were kids. He had a paper route much later, but the whole thing was this guy was snatching up kids, leaving their bicycles, putting them in a white van, and disappearing forever. And then their bodies would be found later on. Now, the guy, John Jubert, I did some research on him. And then also I had a teacher that knew some stuff about him. And so it's crazy when they researched this guy. This guy was like from the Maryland area, started killing animals early, molested some boys up there. He was like an Eagle Scout. So he had access to these kids. And the other thing was, I guess he was in the military. Was down in Arizona, did some kids down there. Now the crazy part was I had a high school teacher that was like, "Hey, my dad was an investigator in the Arizona area. I want to say Phoenix, but I don't want to lie. And some of the 3 or 4 kids down there was attributed to this guy, but it was never proven. And so, come to find out, it came out later on that he would play tic-tac-toe on these kids' chests with a knife.
What?
Yes, you never knew that. Remember I told you about this teacher. She knew stuff that no one else knew, and it came out one time. They did some documentary locally, and then when they said that, that's when I realized the shit she was saying in Arizona. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps.
That was Miss Kaysen, right?
That's how. No, it wasn't Miss Kaysen. This was in high school.
Oh.
This was I want to say Miss Shelster, but Miss Kaysen was the one who was warning us. Didn't want us. She was worried about us. Remember that? She was a crazy old broad. Everybody said she was mean, but she was really worried about.
No, she wasn't mean to us.
No, she wasn't. So that's why I always had to pass my own judgment. But the point we're trying to make is that's the first time that we heard somebody hurting kids, and our parents was like, "Nah, motherfucker, you can't go here," or "Nah, you can go to Roscoe's house.
Right.
That's it. You can go to such and such house, and that's it."
But see,
and that was it.
Yeah.
You do, but that's hold on. My point being is so as a black person, as you get older, it's much easier for you to recognize and spot bullshit. And then but so many of us are following the Democratic Party. I'm like, man, there's a lot of bullshit over there. Y'all need to watch that. But the point we're trying to make is that there are certain times that we go through some real shit, and it's hard to explain it to people. Like, how did you spot that? I'm like, man, I've seen that shit before. Or this situation, I've been around it before. It didn't happen to me, but we know people that it happened to. And so that's how you
when the whole King credit scandal thing was going down, and there were kids, not gonna say any names, that we knew that would go out to Raven Oaks and they will rake the leaves in October and in November. They
It was his house was past Raven Oaks. His house was over there by Surfside.
Okay.
Remember?
Just hear me out though. But they would go out to Raven Oaks and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not just his house, but they would go to Raven Oaks. And I guess these were friends of Black Larry's, and kids we know would go out there and they would rake leaves with their shirt off, and they would go inside the house and they would clean up with the shirt off, and we would.
He was paying $100 back then.
Hold on.
He was paying him crazy money.
So we heard this as kids. So when you hear this as a kid, what happens is there's this invasion of the firewall in your brain. And that firewall in your brain that keeps the monsters like Dracula and like Frankenstein and like the alien monster and like,
at bay.
Jason Voorhees and, that keeps all that stuff, Leatherface, it keeps it at bay because it's make-believe. But then you hear about these motherfuckers that
real evil
smell like little boys' booty holes. And it was crazy. It was like Booty Freaky Fred and Three Finger Willie and the Killer Clown. Those are all urban legends. And then the Larry King shit happened. And it was like, oh, this shit's real. Like, you can get, like, fucking snatched into a van, and that's the end of your ass. You gonna die. Like, and the crazy part about it is you knew it was torture because you knew they would try and fuck you and then kill you. So as a kid, this is some earth-shattering stuff. You're like, wait a minute. Hold on. What? They're going to try and fuck these kids and then kill them? That's crazy. So then there's like this fear and like mania, you know what I'm saying? That's spreading through the minds of kids. Now me, I wasn't scared like that, but I was like, man, that's some fucked up ass shit. Why? Because Duct Tape and I, we were some adventurous motherfuckers, but we knew where the fucking edge was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we did shit we had no business doing.
And then also, if you fuck with us, you're going to get dirt bombs with rocks in the middle of them bitches thrown at your face. So good luck trying to grab these two little kids. But anyway, but my point is that like when you're introduced to this fear, when that firewall is broken down, it's a hell of a feeling because you understand how corrupt the world really is and how, okay, I'm not going to say that I knew that this was allowed, but I knew that, like, for some reason, I knew police weren't putting their full efforts toward this. Because if they wanted to stop, the shit would have been stopped.
I'm going to give an example of what happened in our area. Back in the day, Vice Lords and Disciples and all these this is like 80.
Before Crips and Bloods. Before this, any of that shit.
Yeah, before Crips and Bloods. You had the Vice Lords and Disciples coming to our area, Omaha. And do you know who stopped it? These cops killed 2 or 3 of these dudes, literally threw them in the river. And the way they tied them up, they basically let everybody know, if you come to our town with this bullshit, we will kill you. Cops did that. Now, I know what you're saying. That's sick. That's fucked up. But
that's some real shit, though.
Hear me out.
That's some real shit.
It sounds bad.
Honestly, but no. But listen, honestly, in that situation,
I'm going there.
I don't have a dog in that fight.
Let me go there. They probably saved more lives than you realize because as kids we weren't joining those games. You know, that's sick, fucked up. I know it's bad, but they probably saved thousands of kids. Then all of a sudden you get a movie like Colors, and everybody
It's cool. It's cool. Then it's cool until these motherfuckers start serving rocks to your neighbors. Until these motherfuckers serve rocks to your relatives, then you want to kill them motherfuckers.
Until your auntie starts she's a strawberry selling pussy for crack. You know, yeah. So the motherfuckers stopped them Chicago gangs from coming here. Now, were they racist? They probably were, but they cared about being cops. They're like, look, you know what? We want to keep our town safe. That's some Batman shit. It's evil. Fuck it, whatever. But the problem, what I'm trying to explain to you is, when you're black, you get an early on education of wrong, not right, just the wrong part, and you'll see that like, okay, cool, that's crazy. You know, this person is supposed to save us or whatever. So, like, back to the whole perception is reality. Perception is reality up until the point until you get perceptionized by somebody else's reality. You dig? Until you get leaned over the hood of a car getting raped, then all of a sudden your reality changes. So that person's perception is stronger than your motherfucking reality, my nigga. And they perceive you as nothing more than fucking either money, fodder, or sex. You know, just something. So you got to understand that. So you got to make sure that you have the strength and the ability to protect yourself in these situations. Now, let's talk about this Larry King fella. You've heard us call him Black Larry. You've heard him on other stuff. But this shit really went down here in our city. So, like I said, the perception is reality. When this dude was on top, he was running
he was untouchable. He was untouchable. He was loved by all the white people.
Yeah. White people and black people. But let me explain who this guy was. So he was the #1 black man in the Republican Party. Remember how Herman Cain?
He was Herman Cain before Herman Cain.
Yeah, yes, and he was super rich. He worked for the Republican Party. He sang at the Republican convention. This nigga looked like Al Sharpton's fatter, cousin. You dig? And so this guy ran a credit union up here. He embezzled $30 million. He went to jail, supposedly. That's what he went to jail for. But that's not the truth. The truth is he was smuggling little boys from Boys Town, from these different areas, and taking them out to Washington, giving them to these people high up in the Republican Party. They're fucking raping little boys and little girls. I mean, 7, 8, 9-year-old little kids.
Hey, so talk about the guy. Don't name him. Talk about the guy, the story that you have from work about the guy with the kid.
I'm getting there. Yeah. So there's a book called The Franklin Credit Union Scandal. So everybody at my job, I worked at a Fortune 500 company. And
Nick Bryant is the author. If you want to read that book, Nick Bryant is the author. Go get that book. It's fantastic.
Now, if you watch the documentary, there's 2 people that get arrested.
The documentary is called Conspiracy of Silence.
So on the documentary, they talk about
it was banned. It was banned for a long time.
Banned from the Discovery Channel. Tell them everything. And so there was a newscaster on there by the name of Peter Citron. He was big in our area, super big, and he was one of the guys that got arrested. So when you read this book, it names 2 people that got arrested: Peter Citron and R.A. Andreessen. Richard A. Andreessen worked with me. This guy retired many years ago. This man is 6'6", 400 pounds. He was raping little boys. This was a guy we talked about NAMBLA. This guy was a member of NAMBLA. NAMBLA is North American Man Boy Love Association. They're being defended by the ACLU. They believe that a child can give consent as early as 6 years old to have sex with a grown person.
Okay, hold on. Do you understand how NAMBLA started? Because
I don't.
It's tied to North Fox Island.
Oh, that's why we're on here together, because my nigga across from me, he knows his shit. And so let me tell you about this dude. I know for a fact that he was having sex with kids 14 and 15. When I first started working at my job in the parking garage, my brother, my white brother was like, hey, I seen some shit. I said, duct tape. I seen some shit. Yeah, right. So I'm thinking he's going to tell me a story. He's like, no, I seen that dude park his car over there, and then he pulled next to me. Then you see some movement in the back seat. There was a 14, 15-year-old boy, white boy, sleeping on the floor in the back of his car with a blanket over him. He was picking up homeless kids downtown, giving them food, fucking them, raping them, fucking them. You know, it's just that simple. So because of this, he gets fired. He's part of the scandal. He gets fired, but he was not found guilty. So he gets his job back with all his back pay. This guy, like I said, when I say sick, sinister, I'm not scared of anybody. I was scared of him. I'm not scared of him looking directly at him, but I was on an elevator with dude one day. He's looking at me, and you felt the prey. Like, am I prey? This motherfucker, this nigga's a lion, and I'm a gazelle.
Fuck his ass up, dude. Oh man.
No, you don't understand. This is not the same. I'm not scared of anybody. I fought bigger guys than that bouncing at the club. This is a different vibe.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Motherfucker, you should know me. Like, in a situation like that, man, like listen, that is spiritual warfare.
Look, I'm telling you, like, I never questioned any. I'm like, it happened to me one time. I'm like, you know what? If this motherfucker ever on the elevator with me again, this must be how white women feel on the elevator when they grab their purse and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see a black man, fuck, he's gonna rape me. Like, no, I'm not gonna rape you. I'm not even thinking about you. But that motherfucker had actually did some fucked up shit. We keep talking about Black Larry. His name is Larry King. This dude he's out of jail for the $30 million that he embezzled. I looked the dude up. He is. I think I want to say Virginia. He owns a honey baked ham store, shit like that. But here's the crazy part. This is what happened to me today. So I'm talking to this lady outside of my job, and she says, he's on TV all the time. Like, what do you mean? He has like some kind of reality, some kind of like talk show or some shit out there in Virginia, and he's on TV like talking and shit. Like, this fucking pedophile, bastard.
Because here's the thing, he was the fall guy. So they got too much heat on them, these pedophiles, these powerful pedophiles. They got too much heat on them, and they need a fall guy to take the direction. See, so this goes back to what we're talking about. The initial genesis of this conversation is perception is reality. And it's all about deflection. So when you see things like Cambridge Analytica stealing your Facebook and social media information and using that to steer an election, these people get, arrested and they get, fined, and the company is disbanded, but it doesn't go away. They just start a new company somewhere else, and they keep doing it, and they're using the lessons that they learned from that. The same thing goes for pedophilia.
The craft. They perfected it.
The same thing goes for pedophilia. The same goes for election fraud. The same thing goes for police violence and police brutality. The same thing goes on over and over. And it works because public perception. You hear that term a lot. Public perception is steered like a boat. Well, like a boat with a rudder. It's steered in the direction that they want it to go. And the media is what is steering that. Now, the issue the media is having now is people have turned away from them, or they did before coronavirus, and they stopped watching TV. And they, newspapers weren't sold anymore because everybody was on their electronic devices. So then the powers that be realized that, okay, we have to take our battle to the handheld front. And so we have to take it to physically to these people in their phones. So we have to control social media. We have to shadow ban people who are saying things that they don't like. We have to control the headlines that you see in Twitter, in Twitter news. We have to control the data that's used, the big data that's used when you use a search engine, and the top 10 hits, because most people are lazy. When you look for something in a search engine, most people don't go past the first page. They stop right there at the first fucking page, and they'll go beyond it because they know how lazy and slow people are. So therefore, it's easy to control public perception until everybody became a conspiracy theorist, until everybody started looking into agendas, until people started seeing how this coronavirus bullshit, public perception, is not what it really is. When you started seeing the news, CNN, using stock footage or previously used footage of hospitals in Italy to say that this is a hospital
Not in
in New
America.
York.
Yeah,
Like, wait a
not in
minute, that doesn't
America.
even look
Yeah.
like an American ER. That's Italian hospital, and you're telling me that's New York, and they were caught doing this. The same way 3 years ago, the Tribune Entertainment, which controls 700 news stations, was caught using the same talking points for all these 700 news channels and news stations. So, reality is perception. People will wake up, but eventually they'll go back to sleep. I was doing some work with my hands at a client's house 3 days ago. I heard some loud black people across the street, and then I heard this young black woman say, Hillary Clinton is a pedophile. She molests children. And I heard her uncle try and shush her. I dropped everything that I was doing. I said, hold up, sis. That's real. That's real. She's like, come on, tell it. I'm like, yes, that shit is real. Now, what you had there was two different ideologies. You had the person who is now conscious, the young woman, and then you had her uncle who kept rolling back over, hitting the snooze button. He kept saying it's fake news. And I'm like, hold on, brother. Tell me how it's fake news when you can go and look up the fact that the woman who is now in charge of the Amber Alert in Florida was arrested in Haiti for kidnapping children, and Bill Clinton had to throw a fucking triple Lindy to get her ass up out of jail. How about them fucking apples? How about the fact that these Clintons were on Jeffrey Epstein's plane that flew the Lolita Express, the name should tell you everything you need to know, to that island, that fuck island, where they would go and molest children. But you know what? Let's go down another street. Let's look to the right. There's another dark street down there with a street light that's burning out. When this whole Me Too thing started going down, nobody was talking about children. Nobody was talking about pedophilia in Hollywood. It was all about the women, and nobody gave a fuck about children. Not one time. You know what? Let me back this up. It was all about rich white women, because very few black women spoke up, and then they started to speak up later and later. But you didn't hear a damn thing about pedophiles and children. That is reality steering perception. The crazy part about it is, a month ago, 2 months ago, when these 50 or so children were found in Atlanta that were part of this sex trafficking ring, you did not hear barely anything about this. You would hear all this other bullshit ass news about, somebody's being mean, some host of a show, Ellen is mean to her guests, and all this bullshit. Or you hear about, the wildfires and the budget and corona mask. But you don't want to hear about young, innocent, defenseless children being kidnapped and sold into sex slavery. Slavery is still alive. But it's not adults in America, it's children. Now, it's adults in Africa, and that's another thing we can touch upon, because there you go. There's all these black people talking about how they got money, and they Hollywood famous, and they black Hollywood, and they got all this bullshit. But you ain't put damn money toward ending slavery in Libya right now. You ain't did a goddamn thing. All you had to do was put $1 million down on 2 units of mercenaries and 2 weaponized drones, and that shit would be over in an afternoon. But nobody did a fucking thing. Nobody said shit about it. Nobody even talks about the shit now. Slavery was alive and might be still alive in Libya. Ain't nobody doing a fucking thing. No. But we wanna bicker and talk about stupid fucking words like entanglement, and how these messy ass Negroes have become Kardashianized and want to put their information in their personal lives and monetize their messiness. They want to talk all about that shit, but they don't want to talk about what's really fucking important. Shame on a nigga.
Look,
Shame
look.
on a nigga that tried
No,
to
no,
run game on a
no.
nigga.
To run game on a nigga. What you got to understand is that when my brother is saying every time these pedophile rings, like big time, get blown up in Hollywood, something happens. You know, the Corey Haim, and I forgot the other one, the one that died. Remember, they were saying like it didn't happen
Corey
to me, but you
Feldman
were there.
died.
You should have protected me. Blah.
Haim died. Corey
Corey
Feldman's
Feldman.
still alive.
Yeah. And, but we hold up. They both. One of them had been molested. The other one had not. I can't remember. I can't tell them apart. Forgive me. But the point being is that whenever Hollywood is about to get exposed, something major happens. Whether it's a huge movie, whether it's a huge movement, but the reason that happens is to distract you from the shit, and then you forget about it. It lulls you to sleep. What my brother is telling you is that Harvey Weinstein shit and even the Bill Cosby shit it was on our tongue for 2 or 3 years. It wasn't nobody talking about little kids anymore. There's nobody talking about little boys anymore. Nobody's talking about little girls anymore. That shit, these major news stories distract us from the real victims. And I ain't saying the women ain't victims. Hold on. Many of the women were victims. When they talk about the newscaster one, that guy was fucking, that was fucking disgusting what he did to that one lady. You understand what I'm saying? So we're not saying that shit ain't real. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when they toss you a bone and you chew on it for a while, they sneak in your kitchen and steal everything else. When they toss you a bone, they fucking clean out your apartment. So while you're looking the other way, they doing the fugazi, my nigga. When they do that sleight of hand shit, and that's how this media works. This shit is sleight of hand, and you get distracted, and they doing a magic trick on your ass.
It's
and
the
people just don't realize
effect.
it.
It's the dazzling effect. You're so enamored by the beauty of the con that you don't pay attention to what's really going on.
Look. Here's the issue. Here's the issue with Larry King. So the reason, like I said, the reason we're talking about this, we bring it up every so many months. We want to devote some real time to this perceptions reality shit. Is the fact that perception was this is a rich black man. He runs this credit union. People lost their homes behind his credit union because they were paying their mortgage. He was pocketing the money to the tune of $30 million. He was literally flying kids out to DC, doing shit with them and bringing them back, then dropping them off back with their parents. Fucked up shit. And because he was like a pillar of the community, like he was going from church to church, you know, he was offering loans and people. And I remember we had 2 or 3 homeboys. One of my homeboys that stayed next door to me, that was his thing. It's like, hey, my mom let me spend the night at Larry King's house. When we told you this story early on, I said, Ma, hey, such and such spend the night at Larry King's house. Can I go out there? She said, stay the fuck away from that faggot. I'm like, what? She said, don't let me hear you talk about him. And if he ever comes near you, let me tell me, because I will kill him. So I didn't know no better. I'm like, what the hell? I hadn't even seen the guy. I never even met the guy. But he was, like I said, he was out there politicking in North Omaha, getting all these different churches. People were going to him, taking their money to this credit union, and he's partying with the white folks, raping little boys, raping little girls. Well, he liked little boys from what we hear, so let's just leave it at that. But the fact of the matter is that perception is reality. People, when my brother tells you they love the sparkly shit, they knew he had money, he was rich, and if you rubbed elbows with him, that means that you were better than the average nigga. You were still a broke nigga, but you was a cosmopolitan nigga. You hung around high society and shit, and people were mortgaging their sons' buttholes to get fucking car loans. You know what I'm saying? They let their little boys go over there knowing good and damn well what this man was doing to them. And as long as they can get a loan, as long as they can get a mortgage, as long as they can get this shit. So that's what we mean by perception reality. Don't mortgage our whole country just because somebody makes you feel good. You know, Trump has all these broke white folks all hyped up and shit saying that he's going to do this. Biden got all these black folks saying, because black folks like to sound smart. They don't want to be smart. Biden got all these people saying words and Kamala Harris and all this other shit. Nah, man, right now, ain't neither one of them for us. So don't get enamored with the bullshit.
Hold on. Slow down. Biden said that he was going to pick a woman of color. Not the best person for a job. A woman of color. So
not the most qualified.
Yeah, not the most qualified. A woman of color. So that means that you may be bypassing people that are better at that job than this woman of color. You know, what you're doing is you're saying you're picking a token Negro. That's what you're doing. You're saying you need a token Negro to make yourself look good, to prop yourself up, to hide the laws that you have passed that suppressed black people.
He's so arrogant. He's so arrogant that he told you the truth because he figured you either ain't smart enough to recognize it or you ain't got no choice. That tells you he doesn't think much. He does not fear you. He doesn't care about, like, look, I'm telling him, like, look, man, shit, I might as well get O.J. Simpson. Well, can we march that nigga up here? He didn't care. All he wanted to do was get the black vote at any cost. Doesn't care how he does it. Doesn't care if it helps you or hurts you. He just, hey, black vote, black vote, black vote. This is not going to be decided by the black vote. That's what this is about.
But you have to understand that when you're talking about him, Kamala Harris is a person that is just like him. She's just black and has a vagina. That's the only thing, because they had the same type of song and dance when he was a lawmaker and she was the state attorney general. They had this similar type of outlook, similar practices. They created laws that created the most harshest punishment for people of color. Both her and him, they did the same thing. And we're not going to sit here and explain everything about it. Go and look it up. Go and parse all the data you can find on that, and you'll find that it's true. And look at it from different sources, and you'll find that it's true. Now, Trump is a piece of shit. When this jackass was asked in the first debate, what are you going to do about white supremacists? What are you going to do about the Proud Boys? He said, I'm going to stand down, have them stand down and stand by. Stand by for what? What are you standing by for? Like, for the signal?
Stand down and stand by. That's a military term. Let you break it down. Stand down and stand by means like, okay, look, put your guns away, but be ready in case I call you.
It means operational readiness. It means mission creep. It means be ready. Don't drop your guard down. Who talks like that? Who the fuck talks like that?
More importantly, analyze what he's saying. What he's saying is, I don't get my way, I will unleash these motherfuckers on the country. That's what he's trying to say. Now, look, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but I'm pretty sure we got more Crips, Bloods, Vice Lords, and Disciples than they got. But if it goes to that, the whole idea that black folks can't fight or can't take care of ourselves,
no. That's a fucking psyop. That's a psyop. That's a fucking psyop. Don't go for that shit. Do not go. Anytime motherfuckers start talking about you outnumbered, bitch, please, because all you have to do is pay attention when they talk about the browning of America. And they keep saying white folks are going to be the minority. They keep changing. They keep moving the year back further and further. But yet you keep saying that white people are already outnumbered by brown and black people. Listen, this is what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, do not give in to psyops. Do not give in to somebody trying to mind fuck you out of your own self-confidence. Don't let somebody mind fuck you out of your own self-love. Do not let somebody mind fuck you out of understanding that you have the right to bear arms. Mm-hmm. You got to understand. Amen. You got to understand what your rights are and what rights will be taken from you if you do not act, if you are not proactive. But see, that goes to your perception, because hold on, wait, hold tight, because until your perception is changed to see that these people that you've appointed are not doing much to benefit you. It's mostly handshakes and greasy palms and steak dinners and golf course memberships that are going to them from their lobbyists that's buying favors and payoffs for them. And meanwhile, they're stuffing all this bullshit into the back part of these laws that are being passed while they stand there down there on Capitol Hill with their chest puffed out, virtue signaling. Go ahead, bro.
Look, we all know white folks are a numerical minority, and we are the numerical majority. But let me explain something to you. If there's nothing wrong with being a minority, why don't white folks want to be minorities? Because whenever white folks be a minority, they get scared. Even they've always been a physical minority. No, they don't want to lose their supremacy. That's what this is about. This ain't about numbers. This is about power. Okay, so white folks don't want to lose power.
Here's the thing. When we say white folks, we're not talking about the cool white people. No.
The broke white people. Not talking about them.
We're not talking about the poor white people. We are talking about these reptilian bloodline,
Rothschild,
evil, backsliding, Rhodes Scholar,
Bilderbergs,
Shriner, standing on the corner, Masons,
ass motherfucker.
All of them. These Baal worship ass,
around in red
Bohemian Grove ass motherfuckers. Okay, we talking about these motherfuckers, these little skull and bones ass people. Okay, we talking about the people who will use the laws, the judges that have railroaded all different types of brown and black people for years and years, and some of which have been caught, but they're using that power, which is racism. Understand the term correctly, is when you use power to suppress people. So we're not talking about poor people without power. We're not talking about cool white people. We're not talking about that. We're not talking my cool white people listening to this. We ain't talking about y'all. All right, we talking about these evil motherfuckers that have the power, but they're using it to oppress people.
Explain to him, Roscoe. We ain't talking about the Klan. We ain't talking about poor white folks.
Nope.
Because they ain't got no power. At one point in time, that was a real organization that did shit.
That was a real threat.
We ain't talking about
that was a real threat when motherfuckers had burlap pants and he was busting up your Chevrolet.
And they was lynching motherfuckers while they was working.
Exactly. And you had to crank your car, when Tulsa was like, the Black Mecca. It was a problem then.
Birth of a nation. Yeah, birth of a nation.
It was a problem then.
You understand? We get that. That Klan, it does not have that significance. And here's the issue with how, I'm not calling black people dumb. Let's call them uninformed. The reason the Klan wasn't on the terrorist list, because they ain't got no power no more. They ain't got no money. When they busted up the last remnants up there in Utah, so they don't have any real sway and pull as an organization anymore. But when you got these skinheads and these young dudes and these Proud Boys and all these people doing that crazy shit, they want to do shit now, and they run around with guns while these Antifa motherfuckers who don't even live in my community are burning up shit, and black folks are taking sides because we don't like the Klan. But let me explain something to you. Black folks, take your own side. Why the fuck are you out there marching without a weapon in the first motherfucking place? But that's, again, perception is reality. The perception is the motherfucker they teach you about his grade school is Martin Luther King. But the reality is, but they don't tell you about Malcolm X because they don't want you, by any means necessary, to motherfucker. They don't want you, nigga, don't put your hands on me, motherfucker. They don't want you to learn about the guy that told you to defend yourself. Now, the truth, like, again, we've always said this. Truth be told, if you read King's later books, he explains that he thought that he did a disservice to his people. So King is not a sellout. Now, if he's Boule or not, I don't know. If he is, it's a sellout. But that's another conversation. That's another recording. What we're trying to get you to understand is stop going for the brass ring, the easy shit. Stop going for the shiny shit when there's hard work to be done. And that hard work will get you some real shit that's going to, generational shit that's going to last forever. It's something that's making you look good right now.
I want to speak to you people on the fence real quick. I want to speak to you, the casual listener, the casual observer, the person who likes to sit on the sidelines and watch everything burn. I want to talk to you. I want you to look around you and pay attention to the people when you are having a conversation with somebody about something that's controversial. I want you to pay attention to the people who are the naysayers. I want you to pay attention to the people who are poo-pooing any idea of you raising a brow about something that could hurt you that is considered beneficial. What am I talking about? I'm talking about things like coronavirus and a vaccine. The whole idea about black people getting this thing first, like you're doing a service to black people. It's a disservice. The word for that is Tuskegee experiment. Okay? Look around you, fence rider. Hold on, fence rider. I want you to look around at the people who are goading on, who are basically true believers. I want you to look around and see who the true believers are. I also want you to look at the people who do not drink the Kool-Aid and ask yourself, why are these people angry? What are these people angry about? Why are they so up in arms about something that I see as a benefit to them? While you sit back on the fence and you watch all this stuff, you have to weigh the options. Where am I in all this? How long can I continue to be neutral?
Mr. Fence Rider, what my brother's saying, stop with the pseudoscience bullshit. Stop trying to sound smart. Stop walking around with a mask on the outside. When you're outside a building and you're in the sunlight, you walk with a mask on. Let me ask you a question real deep, because since you're so much smarter than me, because I don't like wearing a mask. I wear it when I'm at work.
By the way, I'm a free breather, so go ahead.
Yeah. A mask will not stop a virus, because this is a virus, as they say. Now, the Italians said something different. The Italians said this virus behaves awful.
Hold on, wait. Stop. This has to be the silliest shit, but I want you to think about this for a second, fence rider. If the mask is going to save you from the coronavirus, what about your eyes? Because your eyes are filled with liquid and they're always open. And the wind and everything else, hold on, is always blowing in your eyes. You get water in your eyes, you get water droplets, you get haze in your eyes. Why don't you get coronavirus in your eyes?
Fence rider. If the mask worked, then why did China get it in the first place? Because everybody in China have been wearing masks.
Yeah.
Look, a virus is too small to be stopped by a mask. It's just that simple. You got to have like a damn near respirator with a charcoal filter and everything else to stop a virus. If this is a virus, somebody sneezes on you wearing a mask, somebody sneezes on you, you fuck, because you're going to get it in your eyes or you're going to suck it through that damn mask. Because the mask will hold the liquid, but that virus is going to slip right through. So I'm trying to tell you, they should have been washing down surfaces. They should have been having fucking Lysol everywhere, spraying that shit in the air because this shit's airborne. And even Fauci, the motherfucker that be lying, like, hey, man, you touch something, the likelihood of you getting it is like 1 out of 100,000 or something by touching something. So they're telling you, look, I'm not saying it's bullshit. It's a real disease.
But there's a lot of bullshit around it.
Yes, yeah. Look, there's for you to get to that motherfucker, there is an encasement, a bullshit force field. A bullshit force field around this motherfucker. So look, what we're saying about this whole reality thing, black folks are the most afraid of this motherfucker. And we're the most likely to ask for our rights to be given up. We do this shit constantly. Going back to the gun control, going back to whatever you want to bring up, we are known for giving up our rights for what? And we don't get shit in return. Our last broadcast, we talked a lot, we were talking about terminology and names. Like, all you black folks asking for reparations, why don't you make sure you ain't check your Native American roots, because you got money sitting right here you should be getting already. It's reparation money out there. You just don't realize you're entitled to it. Black folks, fence rider, you feel like you all of a sudden a scientist now. Look, we grew up with AIDS. We knew about viruses back in fucking 89, 93. So if motherfuckers wasn't dying from AIDS, they were dying from the pneumonia that got after AIDS. We get all this shit. We understand all this shit. So trust me, this shit is some bullshit. They fucking with you, and don't fuck around and lose your kids or can't keep track of your kids because of some they doing this shit again. This is a distraction. You forgot about what they was doing in Hollywood. This is a distraction. You forgot about Epstein. This is a distraction. You forgot about these motherfuckers doing fucked up shit to our kids. Okay. Don't forget about these motherfucking French missionaries in Haiti snatching our kids. Don't forget about these French missionaries over in Ethiopia snatching our kids. What the fuck are they looking for?
Right. Right.
They got booty holes up where they live at. They ain't got to go across the fucking world to get these motherfuckers.
Listen, what you got to ask yourself is, when you see a news story that is so hot, but yet so benign at the same time. Oh, they've run out of masks in Norway, or there's been a school shooting that we've looked into 5 years ago, or there's a hurricane and there's a flood going on and all these people are suffering. Okay, sure, they are. But what are the real stories that are not being covered right now? What you need to do is scroll down and
check
look for the
BBC
real
news.
No, Democracy Now! You need to look there too. You need to scroll down for real news sources. Okay? They have to report this stuff. It's reported all the time. So if you read the Wall Street Journal, if you read the New York Times, it's not going to be the front page. Open that newspaper or scroll all the way down and look for the smaller stories that are not getting mentioned. These are the stories that will be tucked away in the fourth section of the newspaper, in section C12, way back there. That's look in where they print the retractments, where they print the apologies. Look back there, because that's where you're going to find these deep, dark stories that they had to pay some lip service to, or else they'd have no ethics. But those are the stories you need to be really looking into, because that's reality. That's the true perception.
Look, I've told this story before on the air, especially to Roscoe. He laughs at it, but this is back when I had a Wii. And remember, they had Wii News, and it was this news from all over the world. And they spin the world, and you would see these little pictures, and you would click on the pictures. And I remember clicking on a picture. It was BBC News, and they were talking about a strike at Ford, and it had to do with the truck manufacturing.
And
And
at
this shit
Ford
was
in America.
yes. And I talked to a guy I work with who reads the Wall Street Journal and he reads USA Today every day. He didn't know about it. 2 weeks later, he's like, "Hey," he said, "Hey, duct tape. You know that thing you told me about? Yeah, yeah." He said, "It's right here. Look at this." It was 2 weeks later hitting our papers. It's happening in our country over here. That means that was suppressed. That is suppressed information.
Look at that.
What my brother's telling you is about suppressed information. That they'll report it after it's over. Why would you not reporting it when it was going on? And there's nothing that they don't report a lot of. Cops getting shot. Every once in a while, if a cop gets shot, they can't find it. But when these black people are getting pissed because you're coming in their neighborhood and they're shooting these cops, they don't run that ad. They don't run that story because they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to get any ideas. If there was something slick about it, like the brother down in Dallas that made his own armored car and put bombs in the whole city, come to find out they killed his kid. And it's the same thing on that Dave Chappelle special. What did Dave Chappelle say? The reason these people are doing it, these ex-military black guys are doing this, is because they went and fought for our country overseas and came back, and they were lied to. Whenever you get lied to, that's the reaction. That betrayal will make you do shit. And me and my brother across from me, he has a fuck it switch. Don't let me hit my fuck it switch. Because if I say fuck it, I'm gonna spend the night in jail for a couple of days. I'm fucking you up. Don't ever make me say fuck it. Because if I say fuck it, you're gonna feel me. You're gonna find out that I'm pissed. And so our parents told us, like, hey man, ain't nobody supposed to get away with certain things. So if you mess with my kids, I got a fuck it switch. I'm like, fuck it, I'll go to jail. Shit, I'm probably supposed to be there anyway, nigga. Fuck it. So don't make my people hit that. So these Proud Boys, don't make my people hit the fucking switch. Now, on the same token, these people that call themselves the Black Panthers and don't know shit about guns, and you're marching, making demands, and we want Texas, you're a bunch of idiots. You're a fucking idiot. Shut the fuck up and don't speak for me. I hate when they make it like one black man speaks forever. You're a fucking idiot. Like, if a white guy says something dumb, it's just a white guy saying something dumb. But if a black guy says something dumb, he speaks for all black people. No, he does not. He's a fucking jackass. And look, I'm warning y'all. Stop thinking that you are as good as you think you are. You better get to the reality and find out where you are and your skills. Trust me, when I used to bounce at the club, you always get these young white boys that learn some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and want to try it on somebody. You always have these black guys walking in and they want to knock me out. I'm like, I'm not a cop. I ain't got no rules.
Right.
I had a white motherfucker put his hands on me. You know what I did? I quit. My boss said, why'd you quit? I said, I'm going to beat this motherfucker's ass and I don't want you responsible for it. That motherfucker left. Like, this motherfucker was way bigger. I'm like, look, I quit. I'm going to beat your ass because I don't want you suing the club. Wow. You understand? So that his perception versus reality. He perceived me as a joke because I was a security guard. The reality was I would fold that motherfucker like a lawn chair.
You know what, man? Okay. Real quick, let's get into that, man, because shit. Here we go. There you go doing that shit now. All right, man. People see you, people see me, and they make assumptions about whether I can fight, whether you can fight, because my energy level, I've always got the volume turned down. I've been meditating for 20 plus years. So I'm pretty good at controlling my chi levels, right? I'm always really mellow. I'm never high strung. That's why I never did cocaine. That's why I don't drink coffee, because my power level baseline is already really high, which is why I'm able to do like all this stuff with my body that surprises people and shit. But there's always one motherfucker that want to try you. There's always a motherfucker that see you and be like, I could beat his ass. I'm like, all right, you sure? Because that's just my game. I'm your Huckleberry. Because motherfucker, like, it happens all the time.
Come on, Cletus. Come on.
But that's the thing. It's like, you know what? Like, you live a peaceful life, right? And like, you do right by everybody. But there's always some jackass that you have to teach a martial lesson to. All right? You will use the martial mind and use your martially trained hands on their ass. And you let motherfuckers know you are barking up the wrong goddamn tree, and this is how you pay for it. It happens to you. It happens to me. The shit happens. It doesn't happen a lot, but the shit fucking happens, man. You know what I'm saying? People see me and they're like,
It happens enough.
It happens enough. I mean, especially in the line of work you used to do, it happened to you a good bit. People see, be like, oh, I take that motherfucker. He looks soft.
Hmm. Look, what we're saying is your reality is dictated by your perception. Sometimes you perceive things and you just haven't been introduced to everything out there. We want you to take the time to get introduced to the truth. We don't care about right and wrong. We care about the truth. And the truth will give you the power to make the right decision and pick the right candidate, go the right direction, take care of your family, discipline your children, whatever it is. But if you know the truth, you can do the right thing. In the words of Yoda, no try, just do. Stop trying, my people. Black, white, stop trying. Start doing the right shit. Stop trying shit. Stop attempting to do something. Make that shit a reality. Your perception is reality. Create your own shit. And don't be limited. Now, look, if you want to farm someplace and you can be happy, you don't need to know what's going on in the rest of the world, that's cool. But even then, half them farmer motherfuckers got a cachet of guns and got food stored because just in case some shit happens. I get it. You don't want nothing bad to happen, but you need to prepare for that shit. What did Bruce Lee say? I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for the strength to deal with a hard one. Be that motherfucker, okay? Hey, I ain't got nothing else to say. I'm sorry, man. I took too long. I had diarrhea of the mouth, man. I'm sorry, dude.
So,
go ahead.
In closing, I want to say reality is indeed perception, which means it is time for many of you out there, especially the fence riders, to be a lot more perceptive and use discernment. Ask the heavy questions. Do things that are out of your character that will lead to the truth. If it is not in your character to ask the tough questions, to cross-examine somebody who is telling you this is the way it is, the earth is flat. Who told you the earth is flat? All these ridiculous things. You have to use discernment. Your gut. Use your gut. Your instinct. You turn it off all the time. That primal man inside you or primal woman inside you that's telling you, hey, this is not right. Use discernment. But at the same time, also understand that you've been lied to a lot. And they're going to keep lying to you. Now, it's up to you if you're going to keep falling for the banana in the tailpipe. So, with that being said, use discernment and your reality will become a lot more clearer than it has been ever before. So, on that, peace.
Holla.